Okay, so we're building on again to our adding and subtracting fractions lesson. This time we're going to subtract fractions when regrouping is necessary. Regrouping is basically the same thing, parents, as what we used to call borrowing. They changed it from borrowing to regrouping because we never really gave the one back that was borrowed. So that's just the new lingo these days. So what do we always start with when we're adding and subtracting fractions? We immediately look to those denominators. Are they the same? If they were, go ahead and move on. If not, we've got to make them the same. What do? Well, we find our least common multiple for each denominator. And there it is right there. So I need to change my 4 and make it a 12. We're now finding equivalent fractions. How did I go from 4 to 12? I multiplied by 3. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So that's my numerator. How did I go from 6 to 12? I multiplied by 2. 6 times 2 is 12, and 5 times 2 is 10. So here we are, and we say to ourselves, 15 minus 2 is 3, so I should be able to subtract, right? No, because I can't do 3 and take away 10. If I had 3, can I take 10 from it? No. So I need to make this suitable to be able to be subtracted from the 10/12. The way we're going to do that is by decomposing our 15. Now let's kind of take a side step over here. We talked a long time ago about equivalent fractions. Well, 1 can be made into a fraction very easily. We already know that a fraction is a numerator divided by denominator, right? So if that's the case, then when any time my numerator equals my denominator, it is 5 divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5 equals 1. Another example could be 30 over 30. Well, 30 divided by 30 equals 1. You could use any number as long as the numerator and the denominator are the same. If they're the same, it will always equal 1. So we're going to bring that idea over here. We're going to decompose this 15. So that means break it apart. We're going to take 1 away and rewrite it over here. Well, if I know that my denominators really should all be 12, then common sense tells me I can make my 1 whole by doing 12 twelfths. Does 12 divided by 12 equal 1? Yes. So, essentially, 15 can be rewritten as 14 and 12 twelfths, because 14 plus 1 still equals 15. So that takes care of this. We've just rewritten 15 in a different way. But now I got to put it all back together. And I put it all back together by adding them all together. 14 is my only whole number here, so it's like adding 14 plus 0 wholes plus 0 wholes is 14 wholes. 3 twelfths plus 12 twelfths is 15 twelfths. This here is an equivalent fraction to this. Now I can subtract. Now I can do 15 minus 10 very easily. So, since I can do that, 14 minus 2 is 12. 15 minus 10 is 5. And remember, our pieces need to stay the same size when adding and subtracting fractions. And that is our final answer. This is the area that most kids are getting stuck on right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up with a problem of your own, and you can pause it and then try a little bit at a time on your own, play it, get caught up, pause it if you want to try the next step. However you want to do this next step, we'll do as a practice. You can solve it all at once. You can do it in bits and pieces, pause and play, whatever you'd like. Let's say the problem is 5 1/5 minus 2 2/3. If you want to pause, I'll give you a second. Otherwise, we're going to keep going. We've got to find a common denominator. We do that by finding our least common multiples. And there it is. You should have made your common denominator 15. And then you should do your equivalent fractions down here with 15 as your denominator. How did I go from 5 to 15? I multiplied by 3. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Did you get 5 3/15 as your common denominator? Remember, our first number stays the first number in the problem. The second number stays the second number in the problem. How do I go from 3 to 15? I multiplied by 5. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Is that what you got as your equivalent fractions? Now, as you can see, I can do 5 minus 2, but I cannot do 3 minus 10. So I need to decompose my 5 by taking 1 and writing it as a fraction. 4 plus, I'm going to choose my common denominators. I know 15 divided by 15 equals 1, so 4 plus 1 does in fact equal 5. I'm now going to put all of it back together by adding, and you should have gotten 4 18/15. Now I can subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 18 minus 10 is 8. Keep my denominators the same because I'm subtracting, and that is my final answer. As always, if you have any questions, let me know.